So until then, for throughout the past 18 years, this was not exempted service. And it is coming under the service category. Software, of course, exempt. But I don't know whether these entities are coming under supply of software category, because we know that they are providing some kind of intermediary services, because to understand as a common general person now. If
no, you can't say you don't know, no. You are the tax advisor to this government.
Yes, sir.
So how do you, I mean, what is the service provided by a ride-hailing, ride-share company? What is the service? Right? That if I ask the Asian International Coalition, these services are provided in every country in this world. So we are not some unique country.
How other countries
No, sir, but
collect
anyway,
best
we have to
practices.
study and let.
Honorable Chair.
So the rule, the regulator.
No, it says the Gazette of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, extraordinary
Yes, sir.
gazette.
So
It's not
the-
a rule.
You're watching the Lifetraveler channel.
I mean, the tax advisor is here, the deputy secretary is here, Indian Revenue is here. Now, before we go to the next, before I come to the ministry, I want to get the views of the industry. So, if you don't mind, Uber is represented by Mr. Vijayawardena and Mr. Mohammed. Which one would like to answer this particular question? Now the question is, what Mr. Gunawardena is saying is, look, they have to pay VAT because from 1st of January the exemption goes away, right? How does it apply to you, and how are you registered, or are you registered to pay VAT in Sri Lanka, in this jurisdiction?
Yes, Mr. D'Silva, we are registered to pay VAT in this jurisdiction. I think in terms of our ongoing compliance, we are certainly compliant with the laws as they stand to date, and I think certainly from Uber's perspective, as tax laws continue, if and when they continue to evolve, Uber's view is to reassess the situation and but we will remain compliant moving forward as well.
No, I don't think anyone said you're not compliant.
Yeah.
You know, the issue is there a way in which VAT is calculated? Is it the same for both companies? That is the question that I'm asking. Whether you can you respond to that?
I suppose from a business model perspective, the way we are structured, I suppose we're happy to take you through what that structure looks like, either via written response or a very detailed discussion on our structure. It's a fairly sensitive topic that I'm not entirely comfortable sharing in this forum, but more than happy to talk through that in a more confidential forum.
Listen, there is nothing. This is the government of Sri Lanka. Let me remind you, right? We just need the questions answered, right? So what I'm asking is, how do you calculate the VAT that is due to the government of Sri Lanka? This question cannot be avoided.
So at the moment, how we pay our VAT is we provide marketing and support services to Uber.
Can you put that mic on, please? Yeah, because others can't hear, because we have people online.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Hello?
please. Thank you.
The current structure, we provide marketing and support services to Uber BV in the Netherlands, and we charge a cost for said service, which we pay VAT to the government of Sri Lanka.
So my question is, do you now, after 1 Jan, right, after 1 Jan, answer me this question, tax department. After 1 Jan, how will you apply VAT on ride sharing platforms? Mrs. Pereira, could you answer that question?
Sir, I want to get two things clear. Now, what is the supply these entities provide? So that depend on the nature of the supply. Now, I don't know under which item of the exemption list they have claimed the exemption. So whether they are under the supply of software, whether they are under the supply of IT-enabled services. So if we take this IT-enabled services, this was brought under the exempt list from 2020 January onwards. So until then, for throughout the past 18 years, this was not exempted service. And it is coming under the service category. Software, of course, exempt. But I don't know whether these entities are coming under supply of software category, because we know that they are providing some kind of intermediary services, because to understand as a common general person now. If
No, you can't say you don't know, no. You
No,
are the
sir.
tax advisor to this government.
Yes, sir.
So how do you, I mean, what is the service provided by a ride share company? What is the service?
Yeah, if they are getting the commission, their turnover, sometimes like if we take certain suppliers, they provide their own goods to the customers, from business to customer, sometimes business to business. So to my understanding, certain entities, they have paid taxes on, they have claimed exemption under this IT enabled services category. So I think the Inland Revenue, they are doing the assessment and auditing of these companies, and they will be able to show what type of supply they are providing. So that
I mean, if you ask me, I use both. I use I use Uber more than I use PickMe. Sorry, but
Yeah.
I mean I don't know why that is. Perhaps I don't know. I'm just it's not prejudice. It's just I don't know why. But I'm just being honest. But if I use that, then to me I go from A to B. So the service that I get is going from A to B. Now, if you look at the company has people who provide a taxi vehicle and put petrol in it and take that person from A to B, right?
Yeah.
So that person provides some service and the platform provides another service, right? So what you're saying is, how do you dichotomize this, right? For VAT purposes, is the person providing the vehicle and the petrol liable to pay VAT on his or her income? And the platform services provider liable to pay VAT on the platform he provides or she provides to the driver?
both
Mean both are liable.
both are liable.
Now, what is the threshold?
Threshold also the same. No difference between the threshold for applying for the.
No, VAT has a threshold, no?
Yeah, threshold is the current threshold is 80 million per annum, and
So will the drivers have a 80 million?
so that depends. Now, if the driver doesn't have this threshold, then he will not be a registered person, and he can't. He
Correct.
is not,
Can you tell me, Mrs. Pereira, if there are any Uber drivers or PickMe drivers in this country who make more than 80 million rupees a year?
No, sir. Individual drivers, I don't think we will be able to find. But
Correct.
there are companies doing these rent services, and if it is
Rent services are different, right? I'm talking about the software. Because here, the rent services, there is no software. No? There may be other ride-hailing companies.
Yeah.
But what I'm asking is, we want to develop this industry. We want Uber and PickMe and everyone else, if there are other companies who want to come here, we want everyone to be here, right?
Yeah.
For instance, Google. If not for Google, we cannot run our ambulance. Right? I know the absolute essential nature of the services that these guys provide. But we are, under Article 148 of the Constitution, responsible for public finance. So the questions that we are asking is, are we collecting the taxes? Are we collecting the optimum taxes that we can collect? Or is there some loophole in the law, the way the law is written, that people can interpret the law in different ways? That's all I'm asking.
Yes, sir. Now, if you take, and this gentleman raised the issue, is the issue of the scope of the VAT. So that is true. I agree with him, and 100%, because our VAT is charged on the taxable activities within the country. Any person running the business in Sri Lanka. If a person has not a presence in Sri Lanka, then he will not be within the VAT scope. That is because you know that our VAT law is more than 20 years old, and at that time, during 2002, we didn't have this kind of things, and the VAT is charged on the place of supply based on the place of the person who is making the supply. So in that case, if a person, like if Uber has no presence in Sri Lanka and the supply services being in Netherlands, then they might have been excluded from the VAT system.
No, might have been is one.
Yeah.
What we are talking about is as of 1 Jan 24, no?
Yeah.
So as at 1 Jan 24 also, if the presence of the supplier is in a jurisdiction that is outside the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, then that person, you are saying, is not liable for VAT.
Not liable, because it is out of the VAT scope.
Okay.
Because that is the very basis of the VAT tax.
Okay, right. So hold on a second. Mr. Luthra, is that Mr. Luthra?
Oh, no, Erika, I'm taking over Sartak's place. Yes.
Okay. Would you be kind enough? Now, this is you are the Asian coalition. You work in multiple countries in Asia and the Pacific, right? You represent the largest companies, online platform companies. What is the general sort of the accepted procedure in the application of VAT on these companies?
If I can just share a couple of key high-level points just for consideration. So what we would like to do is that we can't speak for individual members in particular, but we do have an institutional view on this. So ideally, when we're looking at any VAT policy changes, we need to align it with international standards and best practices.
Could you speak a little softly? Could you speak not softly? I mean loudly, but slowly. It's difficult to comprehend. Please, I'm sorry.
So when we talk about international standards and best practices, we kind of build the taxes around the key principles of neutrality, efficiency, certainty, and simplicity. So when we look at what other countries in the region have been doing recently, such as Australia, Singapore, Thailand, Bangladesh, most recently Nepal, they've updated their VAT on imported digital service and goods. So what this means is that they apply something called a destination principle in VAT, where the tax is charged on the consumption of the goods and services, where the consumption takes place.
So it is not based on supply, but based on consumption.
Either goods or services, yeah, where the consumption takes place.
So in the case that we are discussing now, the supplier is not in this jurisdiction. So what is the Asian Internet Coalition's position on I hope I'm not asking a question that is unfair, but do you have a position as the global sort of regional, I guess, not the regulator, but the coalition that works with all of these companies, both local companies in local jurisdictions, foreign companies in local jurisdictions, like the case that we are observing now? Is there a particular position that you take?
Yes, so our position is basically based on international standards. So there's two of them that I'd like to raise. The first is OECD International VAT and GST Guidelines. And the second is the OECD APEC Government Toolkit, which you can kind of refer to in implementing the VAT on digital services.
I didn't get the second one. You have to speak a little slowly.
OECD APEC Government Toolkit. We can send these links to you after the meeting.
Yeah.
But basically, we understand that you want to level the playing field between the onshore and the offshore suppliers, which is why we call for the taxes to be charged where the consumption of the goods and services takes place. So if it happens in Sri Lanka, then that's where the taxes will be charged.
So the person, the supplier, is it immaterial where the supply is coming from?
Correct.
So whether the supply comes from India or whether the supply comes from Sri Lanka, Asian Internet Alliance's position is that, which you represent all major companies you said, is that the liability doesn't depend on the jurisdiction of the origination of the supply.
Yep, and I just want to reiterate again the sentence. We should tax where the consumption of the goods and services takes place.
So what the consumption is what in this case? In this particular ride-hailing business, what is the consumption? What are you consuming?
It could be either digital services, which is, as you mentioned, ride-hailing services, or it can also be digital goods. For instance, if you subscribe to a cloud service provider.
Thank you. I want to request Mr. Marker or Ms. Akbar Ali to also weigh in here as to how you as a local, you have a local presence. You're
Correct.
probably the largest local platform.
Correct.
As opposed to, let's say, Alibaba or Amazon, right? Can you just weigh in on the discussion here?
Sure. So, as far as Daraz is concerned, so like you said, Minister, we are 100% local. So, when even revenue generation or consumption is considered, for us right now it's local. But the question you're also asking is, how do foreign players that are playing here then impact us in terms of the benefits or the differences here, right? So, our view is overall, as we stand, we are not seeing a huge impact on a one-to-one basis. That being said, in terms of the topic being discussed here, I think definitely a level playing field is what we need, but where I would weigh in really is how this gets deployed and the mechanisms within which it gets
Let
deployed.
me ask you a direct question.
Sure.
Suppose I order a pair of shoes, and it is delivered to me from Nike in the US.
Right.
Right? Now, how is, as suppose I $100 shoes from Nike in Los Angeles, $100 shoe from Nike through Los Angeles through Daraz, one through Amazon.
Right.
What is the tax that I have to pay if I pick A versus B?
It basically, as Daraz, it would be the local tax. So we have a cross-border operation right now with China, where we do sell products from our Chinese vendors in the local market, but all of this revenue gets calculated under the local venture.
So meaning the $100 gets taxed.
$100 gets taxed locally.
If I order through Amazon?
If you order through Amazon, again, I can't speak on behalf of Amazon, but my experience when you buy on Amazon is there is a customs and thereafter certain tax withheld at the point of transaction, but I don't know what happens beyond that.
Secretary, sorry, Mrs. Pereira. So that means in that transaction, the what I'm consuming is a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I'm using one platform versus the other platform. It does not matter. I have to pay the tax on the $100
Correct,
plus the administration fees.
Correct. Since these are good supply, then
It doesn't
won't
matter.
Yes.
Only in the case of services.
Services, correct.
Right. I want to come back to the representative from Uber. Now, having heard this, what do you have? I mean, what's your reaction? You have something to add?
No, I think there is clarity, I suppose, in this room in terms of how the current and proposed VAT amendment is going to work through. I think certainly from an Uber perspective, it is really for us to see, does this, if and when the tax situation does change, how we respond to it. At the moment, like has been mentioned, we want to make sure that there is a continued environment that we can invest in, but certainly nothing further to add to what's being covered. I think there's clarity on how we pay our current VAT and what's due.
Yeah. So, okay, so the conversation comes back to the government of Sri Lanka. Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, it's your responsibility now to ensure that, we would want, okay, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to ask any final thoughts from the Asia International Coalition. You heard the discussion here. Please go ahead.
If it's possible, would it be okay for us to send you some of the resources on the international standards? For instance, the OECD, it gives you the how you can do the vendor collection mechanism. So everything is kind of spelled out on how everyone is doing it internationally and following the global best practices, just as to use as a reference as you're building up your implementation framework for this.
I would appreciate that. Before I go to sort of conclude this with the Secretary, would Honorable Vitanage or Honorable Virakodi?
Yeah, Chairman, the same operation we identified with Lanka Clear versus Visa and Masters, that if this is not corrected, local companies will go to Singapore and they can set up a company there and work here like those global platforms. That's why we want to clear this. And I want to ask, has anyone in our country conducted a study on how other countries can collect taxes through such global platform?
I mean, Honorable Vidanage's question is valid, and any smart investor would
we
do
can
that.
do that.
Anybody can do that.
Oh,
They can
that's why
relocate.
we want to protect our local platform. Otherwise, no point, no waste of our things.
Yeah, they can do that, but they don't have to go there. They can go to Port City if that's one. We can call the Port City guy, and you can participate in that conversation. No, it's simple, no. Why does he want to set up here? He can set up at Port City.
Yeah.
Match, game over. You won't get any tax.
And as per the laws of Port City, you can be physically present outside Port City.
Yeah.
And operate subject to laws
Finance
related to Port
Ministry
City. So
Yeah.
we will
Totally
be
responsible for this.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going to conclude. Before I ask the tax advisor to the finance ministry to make us sort of observations and the way forward, is anyone else wants to add? Okay.
No, I think the point I was going to make has already been made. If this is going through, we have already started exploring the opportunity of setting up outside. And it's not too complicated to do that, which means tax revenue will shrink further. And it will continue to shrink to zero. And remember, sir, we are talking about a digital economy. We are talking about digitization. We are talking about a digital ecosystem. All of this will not take place here if this level playing field is not addressed.
The good case study is Grab.
In Singapore.
Yeah.
Right. Now, this is a serious matter. And let me tell you, we need investors to come into this country. We don't want a country where we don't have Google, we don't have Uber, we don't have Facebook, we don't have Twitter or whatever it is. We don't want that. We want them here. But at the same time, we don't want to discriminate, pick me or any other
local
company that is trying to create value in this country.
Especially the Honorable Chairman, the startups, we want to protect.
We want to protect the startups. When I say protect the startups, I don't want to use the word protect. It's a bad word to use. We want to encourage and promote.
Promote the startups.
Right? So, please.
Honorable Chair, as it is also now, there are issues with PickMe and Uber in the regions. Like you take the case of taxi drivers. You must allow them to get organized regionally and compete with you all, rather than fighting physically. So they will not be able to think of any other way.
So let us.
Chairman, it's better if you can appoint a subcommittee of.
Yeah. So this is what I'm going to do. I think this was a very useful, rich discussion, and I think a lot of clarity now we have. I would like to make sure that we as this committee are able to officially forward to the Minister of Finance our observations and recommendations. And that I would like to have, it is not normally the case to get stakeholders to agree on something. What normally happens is the government in whichever country you operate will come in with a particular law and tell you, look, you better follow it or do whatever. But I think we need to think outside the box. I think we need stakeholder commitment I think we need stakeholder involvement. I think we need stakeholder support. If we want to grow this country, if we want to build a digital economy, we want both the Pygmies and Ubers to be playing in this game, right? So it would be extraordinarily fantastic if we are able to all agree, right? What do we do? And so before I give my own directive, I want the last word from the tax advisor, what her thinking is and how we could proceed.
Yes,
because
sir.
note, this tax amendment is coming to Parliament on Sunday. We have like 3 days.
Sir, thank you for giving me this last chance to explain things. But now, actually, we have identified this this defect in the VAT law, because we need a complete overhaul of the VAT laws in the country, because as we all know, it is more than 20 years old now. So the business transactions models, everything has been has now been changed. So we have to make changes into the law simultaneously. So with in parallel to the removal of SVAT, the complete overhaul of the VAT Act to be done. So this destination principle, we have identified it as to be introduced to the, instead of charging on the place of supply, charging VAT on the place of consumption of service or goods, it would be the ideal, maybe for in this era. So we will have a new law. It will take some time. I think we have been discussed among ourselves, and we have targeted with the removal of SVAT and other changes in the system. This principle, the VAT law will be shifted from this the supply place of supply to the destination principle.
With that, I'm going to make a request that you can take right to the Honorable Minister of Finance. It is going to take time, right? Don't mess it up now, right? Don't change the law without having a acceptable law. I don't want local software companies to leave on 1st of January and set up in Dubai, Singapore, or elsewhere. As a lawmaker, as a person representing the people of this nation, I want those people to stay. It's not just me. I'm speaking on behalf of all of us. So why don't you suspend this particular piece of legislation, the amendment? I mean, you can certainly explain to the IMF or whoever it is. It is not possible.
I don't think, sir, that I don't think it is possible now, sir, because now the majority of exemption we have taken out, sir. So
yeah, but then you're clearly you accept that there is a defect in the law.
So that is with the imposition, charging, sir, not with the exemption list, sir.
No, nobody's asking for exemption. No. Nobody's asking for exemption. No one is asking for VAT exemption. All what we are saying is that the way in which you implement this thing has to be there. Now, for instance, why did you postpone the SVAT? Because you said there is no proper refund system. That is why you postpone the implementation of SVAT by 12 months. What I am saying is, go ahead and make the change. It's no problem. But the implementation of it, do it when you have the new law. I mean, I'm not asking for VAT exemption. Nobody wants VAT exemption. Does anyone here want VAT exemption? Uber, do you want a VAT exemption?
No, we don't have a view on that now.
Oh, these people don't want a VAT exemption.
We're very clear up front. We are not asking for exemption.
Sababatuma, then I'll tell you one thing, that Lanka Clear and Visa Masters are doing same business. I heard Lanka Clear paid nearly 1 billion as taxes, that Visa Masters are not paid any single cent.
Yeah, Lanka Clear, I think, needs to be more democratic. You know, it's held by a small group of people, and that's another discussion.
No, but the thing is
the thing is the way in which this is implemented.
මට දැනගන්න කැමතියි, දැන් පික්මී කොච්චරක් ටැක්ස් ගෙවලා තියෙනවද Uber ටැක්ස් කොච්චර ගෙවලා තියෙනවද කියලා
ඒක මෙතන අහන එක
නෑ නේ මම
සාධාරණ.
කියන්නේ නෑ කියන්නේ ගෙවලා තියෙනවනේ ඒක අපිට මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු එක විදිහට අපිට එහෙම රිපෝට් එකක් හදලා දෙන්න කියන්න ඉන්ලන්ඩ් රෙවිනියු එකට
නෑ නෑ ඒකට වඩා ගරු ඇමතුමා ඔබතුමා මන්ත්‍රීතුමා ඔබතුමා නීතිඥයෙක් හැටියට මං හිතන්නේ අපි එකින් එක යන එක it is called ad hominem. I don't want to be ad
නෑ
hominem.
මම කියන්නේ එහෙම නෙමෙයි දැන් අපි ඒක එච්චර ඩීටේල් එකට යන්න නෙමෙයි මම කියන්නේ අපිට පාර්ලිමේන්තු මෙම්බර්ස් වලට දැන ගැනීම පිණිස එහෙම
මම එතනට යන්න කැමති නෑ ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා.
නෑ මොකද දන්නා එහෙම කියන්න හේතුව දැන් රටේ මහ ජනතාව දැනගන්නත් ඕනනේ මේ කාරණාව. මොකද දැන් මිනිස්සු සමහරලාට දන්නේ නැහැ පොදු මහ ජනතාව දන්නේ නැහැ මේ ඔපරේෂන් එකේදී එක කම්පැනි එකක් ටැක්ස් ගෙවනවා තව කම්පැනි එකක් ටැක්ස් ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි they are doing same business.
No. The issue is not with Uber or with PickMe.
No, I'm not going to criticize
so what I'm saying, everybody is legally doing exactly what they are supposed to do. There is no issue. The only issue is coming from January of next year. So that is because of the exemption being removed on local software companies. That's the issue, no?
So,
No. The issue comes, Mrs. Pereira, when the amendment.
do these entities falling under the category of supplying software?
So that is not what I am saying,
Yes,
right?
sir.
That is up to you.
Yes, sir.
Right. So if it is supply of software, then it has to be taxed under supply of software.
Yes.
If it is supply of person going from A to B, then it has to be taxed on person being taken from A to B. So you can't have one A company paying for one service and B company paying for another part of that service. That's all I'm saying. So it is not in the way the law itself is written. I think it is the way in which it is interpreted by the tax department and the various players in the industry. So what I'm saying is that there has to be one way in which this law is interpreted, and make sure that everyone interprets the law in the same way. Is that an unfair thing to ask?
It could be done because there is an interpretation committee or the ruling committee in the Inland Revenue. They will look into this and...
Right. Can you do it before the 1st of January? Can they interpret the law before the 1st of January?
So actually what is to be interpreted?
What is to be interpreted is this. There is a service being offered. That service is dichotomized into two. This is my understanding as a layperson. Those two are mutually exclusive in the way it is determined for tax purposes. One is providing a software for various people to sort of go on a platform and then decide whether I want to provide my services to that platform. Or to provide a service through that platform. That is one service. The other service is the person who is supplying the car and the gas and the labor and all that to provide the service of taking the person from A to B. Now, are these two services mutually exclusive or not? So, are you breaking down this service into service of online, software service and physical ride service? Or are you putting it together? Now, it doesn't matter till the 1st of January because where the supply comes from is immaterial. It matters after the 1st of January because where the supply comes becomes material. Because if the supply is coming from Sri Lanka, then A and B becomes one. If the supply comes from outside Sri Lanka, A and B continue to be separated. That is the way I see this law. So there has to be clarity in this law. All I'm asking is, can you provide that clarity to the Department of Inland Revenue? Because this applies not only to these two companies. Because we just realized it doesn't apply to the company for Daraz and others because they are only supplying goods, not services. So it applies to all companies that provide services. Right? So, can you give us the clarification before the 31st of December? AG's department is here. Can you give the clarification?
So actually the issue is not very clear. We have to study this file, the respective file, and see the actual transactions there. So we'll study the transactions of this.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask Mr. Luthra or the Internet Alliance Coalition one last time. Would you be so kind to share with the Ministry of Finance in Colombo the practices of the countries that have such operations in this region? Every country in this region, every Asia Pacific country that you represent, you know, country A, country B, country C, you know the question, and how each country applies the law, how each country interprets this law, and so that that can be information that is relevant for our officers to finally make a determination. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll give you country by country of the VATs that have recently been amended, and we will also give you the OECD toolkit and best practices.
Right. I will connect you to them. When I want to finish this before the 31st of December. It doesn't take that long. Today is only the 5th or 6th. Everyone goes on holiday before the holidays. When can you do it?
You will send it to us, no, sir? Clearly.
Today. Can you send that to us today, or do you need time? Asian Internet Coalition. How long do you need to send it to us?
For the OECD stuff, we can send it by today, no problem. For the country by country, we will do a bit of a summary, so we need a few days for that.
Today is Thursday. Monday?
Yep, we can do it by Monday.
Monday. Thank you very much. They will send us.
We can send the OECD by today. No
OECD they'll send today. By Monday they will send the rest of it. By next, we finish on Wednesday. That's the problem.
What is the real issue?
Okay, you understand the issue now. I don't have time again to go ahead. Explain. I think the issue is very clear. What is the services being provided? Does the service when I pay, right? When I pay for my ride, do I pay for the ride and the software service, or do I separate the ride to this person's the platform to that person? So this person doesn't have to pay VAT because he falls below the 80 million threshold. This person has to pay VAT because he is above the 80 million threshold. That's it. It's very simple to me. So they'll share it with you. How long do you need? I'm asking for the last time. How long do you need to come back to us on this interpretation? I mean, you are the smartest man in the finance ministry, Mr. Seneviratne. I know you are bluffing here. Port City. Yes, please. When?
We will have this study with the inland revenue, because we have to see what type of services they are providing. So you can't say just black and white. This guy provides software and this guy provides a vehicle, because there are a lot of other facts to be looked into. So we will discuss.
Sri Lanka is not unique.
Yes, sir.
Right? That is why I asked the Asian International Coalition. These services are provided in every country in this world. So we are not some unique country.
How other countries
no, sir, but anyway,
best
we
practices.
Have to study and let you know.
Of course, you have to study. So how long do you need?
Their practices, other countries.
Information will come on Monday. Before 31st? Agreed.
Sir, just 1 second, sir, if I don't mind. This is not a pick me Uber thing. This is much bigger.
It is not.
It's
Please
much
don't.
bigger.
No. Please
Much
don't. This
bigger.
has nothing to. This is just an example of a problem that we want to resolve. You know, they were kind enough. I thank. I'm going to conclude now. I want to especially thank the Asian Internet Coalition for participating in this discussion. You helped us understand the issue from a regional context. I want to thank you and your colleague for joining. Thank you very much. We want to thank Mr. Jeffrey Sulva, Mr. Madhuranga Kula Tilaka, and Mr. Ajit Gunawardena from PICME. We want to thank Mr. Itisham Mohammed and Mr. Varun Vijayawardena from Uber Eats. We want to thank Ms. Maria Akbar Ali and Mr. Firaz Maka from Daraz. I think this was an extremely productive discussion. and we hope that before the 31st of December, that there will be clarity, so that all you gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, can, you know exactly what is due, what is not due. It is up to the government to decide whether they want to add the services or separate the services. That's not my business, right? That is a policy decision that has to be taken by the government. So I think the government needs to think about more than just, revenue collection right now. I think the government should consider an opportunity for software to grow. We need a digital economy. So encourage digital services providers and tax them on the service that they provide. Tax them on the service they provide. Because lots of people who are providing various services are not taxed. The three-wheeler guys probably, if he's not part of Uber, Pick Me, he doesn't pay any tax, right? So think about all those things and come up with an interpretation. As you said, before the 31st of December, this meeting is adjourned for that, for this component. I'm really sorry because you have to stay a little longer. I wanted to take it because of the national importance it has. So we will have to explain to those people outside. Yes, I closed it. Go ahead.
One comment. Thank you for the invitation to participate today. Really good to have some clarity. I think the one request from Uber is that we are more than happy to participate in ongoing dialogue as this takes shape, right? And I think hit the nail on the head where ongoing dialogue is really important to shape the laws. And so we are more than open to participating in this conversation.
This is the way that we should, I believe, perhaps you agree, perhaps you don't, but I believe this is the way to move forward. Get every stakeholder on the same page. It's better this way.
Strong agreement from
Strong
Uber.
agreement. So I will tell them to keep you in the loop in the next 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Welcome. Would you kindly introduce yourselves for the record, please?
I'm Naimuddin, Secretary, Minister of Investment Promotion.
I am Anoja Herat, Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Investment Promotion.
I'm Dinusha Jayavira, Legal Officer from Investment Promotion Ministry.
Vindhya Veerasekara, Director Legal, Colombo Port City Economic Commission.
Revan Vikramasuriya, Colombo Port City Economic Commission.
First of all, we want to apologize to you. We had to push you back by an hour because there was an urgent matter that needed to be resolved. So that is why unscheduled meeting we had to take. So I genuinely do apologize for the delay. What is, Secretary, what are you proposing here?
Colombo Port City guidelines on grant of exemption on incentive of business of strategic importance, duty-free operations.
So okay, so what are you asking for?
Sorry? Yeah, you can go ahead. Provide.
I mean, yes, you are the Port City Commission. You are not putting this, are you? Who is tabling this? Is it tabled by the? It's tabled by the minister, no? Yeah. So the ministry, tell us what you are proposing. We can ask the Port City Commission if we need. Can I have some water, please?
Duty-free operations in Colombo Port City under the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act number 11 of 2021, and it is already granted its cabinet granted approval in March 13th. Accordingly, the Colombo Port City guidelines on the grant of exemptions or incentive to business of strategic importance, duty-free operations regulation number 3 of 2023 are made under section 71 of CPC Act, and the BSI duty-free operations under the said regulations are categorized into two distinct groups. business of strategic importance, duty-free mall operation, and business of strategic importance, duty-free retail operations, based on the investment threshold and the social and economic benefits to Sri Lanka.
So duty-free shop is a strategic importance. How is it a strategic importance? Explain to us, please.
Yes, there are commission member and then also the Port City officials, they will explain.
Now, I am asking you, you are the Secretary of the Ministry.
Yes.
What is the government's position on how, I just want to understand why a retail shop is of strategic importance.
This is a BSI importance, a duty-free mall operation that make a minimum investment of USD 7 million.
Why 7 million? Why not 10 million? Why not 5 million?
And
please explain to me what is how do you define strategic importance? First tell me. You can put words.
Yes.
What is the meaning of the word strategic importance? How do you define strategic importance? That is policy, no? That's why I'm asking you.
That was the agreement, and we had a discussion and with different agencies and also with Ministry of Finance, and we agreed to these threshold limits.
This is under what law?
So may I just explain the scheme of the access to?
1 minute, please. Under what law are you asking for this?
This is Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Port City Commission, go ahead.
So the scheme of the Act, of the Port City Act, is that for anyone to do business in the area of the port city, you need to be an authorized person and you're paying an annual license fee. Thereafter...
Can I get the English copy of this, please? Yes.
Thereafter, sir, now an authorized person does not get any tax incentives or benefits. It's a license to do business in the area of the port city. In order to get the benefits, you need to become what is called a BSI, Business of Strategic Importance, under Section 53. So, to answer your question, sir, to get the tax incentives, you need to qualify as a BSI. And for this particular thing, it's for this duty-free mall. This regulation is put out for the mall operators and retail operators to set up this duty-free space. So, to answer your question, sir, to get the incentives, you need to be classified as a business of strategic importance under the Act, under Section 53 of the Act.
And under Section 53 of the Act, what are the concessions that you get when you become what do you call business entity, or whatever it is that the word you called it? What exemptions are you asking for?
If I may, Honorable Chairman, in this instance, the exemptions and incentives under Schedule 2 for businesses that would be designated as businesses of strategic importance under this regulation, specifically for duty-free mall operators and duty-free operators, is up to a period of 20 years exemptions from the enactments in Schedule 2 of the CPEC Act.
So what is in Schedule 2, please?
There are 13 enactments in Schedule 2.
And they are?
Yes, there are 13 enactments in Schedule 2 of the CPEC Act.
And what are they?
Starts with the Inland Revenue Act, the Value Added Tax Act.
Hold on a second. So what you're saying is, once these guys start operating for 20 years, the Inland Revenue Act does not apply?
They would be exempt from taxes under the Inland Revenue Act, yes.
So let me understand this. So what you're saying is, now there is this company that is doing duty-free business. They will import something, and they will, let's say a TV, and they will sell that TV in the duty-free shop in Port City. Just let's take an example and work through it so it's easy to understand.
Yeah.
And that will not attract any income tax on the profit the duty-free shop owner makes. Correct?
So if I can clarify that, the latter part of your statement is correct. There will be no income tax, right? Will be an exemption for 20 years. There are permitted goods that are going to be sold, and white goods or electrical items such as TVs and fridges, etc., not permitted.
Okay, what
and
are permitted?
That is in the rules.
What are the rules? What are permitted?
Yeah.
Because when you say duty-free shop, Mr. Vikramasuriya, people immediately think what you get from the airport duty-free, no?
So there is a absolutely correct, sir, and that is why there is a gazette published in May 2022. Correction, 22nd of May 2023.
Where is the gazette?
Which actually, and Schedule 1 of that, actually, and that's called the Rules for Duty-Free Operations within the Area of Authority. And it goes from apparels, audio-visual equipment. Yeah.
Hold on. Where are you reading from?
It's a previous thing.
I don't seem to have that. Did you submit that to us? Where is that? No, but then we need to know what is being sold in this duty-free shop, no? Now I ask a simple question that any person will ask. I go to a duty-free shop and buy a washing machine. You are saying you can't sell washing machines here. Then what can you sell? Can you get me that list, somebody?
Can I give you? May I come
Please,
up?
please. Or again, give it to that gentleman there.
Have you got another copy?
There's a copy.
Thank you. Yes, please, Mr. Vikramasuriya. Permitted goods. Column 1.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So that, as you mentioned, that doesn't include white goods, right?
So shall I read the permanent goods?
Yes, sir.
That is apparel. So you can sell like a polo shirt there.
Exactly.
Audio and visual equipment. Speakers, CCTV systems, home entertainment systems, and electronic gadgets. So home entertainment system means TV. So you can sell a TV. You can also sell a Bose sound system. Digital photographic cameras, video cameras, photographic accessories. So you can sell a Canon. Computer accessories, cables, audio, visual, computers, desktops, laptops, tablets, computer peripherals. Confectionery, sweets and biscuits. Beverages, powder drinks, energy drinks, soft drinks and water. It does not say liquor though. Packaged foods and delicatessens. Game consoles and game software. Grooming and toiletry products, baby products. Health and wellness products, home care and laundry care products. So that means washing machines are included. Kitchen utensils and cutlery, the 13. Then you have kids' toys, baby carriages, leather accessories, bags, belts, wallets, luggage, mobile telephones and accessories. That means you can buy duty-free an iPhone. Musical instruments, pens, other writing instruments, perfume, cosmetics, makeup, sports items, gym equipment, bicycles, bicycle accessories. Oh, it does have spirits, wines, beer, sunglasses, watches, tobacco. So what you are saying, Mr. Vikramasuriya, is that all these things will be sold duty-free in this duty-free shop.
So if I can comment.
Yes, please.
This was the rules, right?
Yeah.
The vision and the strategy behind this, right, goes back to cabinet memos, etc., as far back as 2020, right? The idea here is to create a shopping destination to attract tourists to come in and shop here, and create Colombo as a center to bring in tourists, because what they say is a lot of tourists come in and actually go out of Colombo and there is no attraction. the discussions had with the operators, right, and the studies performed was how can we replicate a shopping environment and an experience that travelers see similar to what they would experience when they're in Dubai and Singapore, etc., in the duty-free malls there. On the back of that,
so duty-free malls, they are meaning?
In Dubai and Singapore, when you go through duty-free in Dubai and Singapore, the experience you have there, the variety of goods and products.
You mean like Singapore, let's say, like if
Changi Airport, for example.
The airport. I mean, if I go to Orchard Street and go to, one of the shops there, that's not duty-free, you know? I have to pay duty, no? Or do I not pay duty?
I don't want to comment on that, sir, because I'm not aware of the status on that.
No, you said Singapore, duty-free
I'm talking about the duty-free shops.
Yeah, but we have a duty-free shop at the airport. No, we are not talking. Are you talking about the duty-free shop at the airport? No.
No, a duty-free.
You are talking about a duty-free shop in the CBD, right?
A downtown duty-free in the port city, correct.
So you said in Singapore, when the experience you have. So my question to you is, in Singapore, I'm not aware, I don't go to Singapore that often. I mean, if I go to Takashiyama or something, then do I pay taxes or do I not pay taxes? Duty.
So I don't want to comment on that, sir, because I also don't go. I don't even know the name.
Then I suggest that you don't say things that, elicit questions from us.
Okay, so let me apologize on that. So what I was trying to rephrase is the experience people have when they go through duty-free mall. Let's look at the duty-free shopping arcade and the spaces in the Changi Airport or the Dubai Airport, right?
Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about that. What you're talking here is not about the airport. You're talking about a duty-free shop in the city of Colombo.
Yes, sir. If you permit me to finish. So when you look at the product categories that travelers can purchase in those malls, right, we realized, and with I think nearly about 3 million or 4 million arrivals into Sri Lanka, right, we realized there was a lot of money being spent by people coming into Sri Lanka and also going out of Sri Lanka, going and shopping in these duty-free malls in the airports, right? Then we were trying to see how we can create a similar environment for people coming into Sri Lanka. When the studies were done, we came across markets such as China Hainan province, right, and a couple of other markets that have gone into the concept of downtown duty-free malls, right? South Korea being one, Hainan in China, Cambodia is also looking at this, and most recently Dubai is also looking at creating what is called a downtown duty-free mall, which creates a shopping environment and a culture for them to come in and spend time, do their duty-free shopping, either when they arrive into the country within a certain time period or prior to them going out. On the back of that, we engaged with a global leader in duty-free mall operations in airports and on the concept of downtown duty-free. China duty-free, which is world number one. I think they do nearly $10 to $15 billion worth of turnover, and global number one, to consider the decisions made by, I think, cabinet memos and budget speeches going back to 2020 to create a downtown duty-free concept, which will attract tourists and people into Colombo and Sri Lanka. And it was on the back of that they came up with this, it is on the back of that we moved to create this mall in the port city itself for travelers into Sri Lanka, right? Sri Lankan citizens were coming in, right? And also foreigners coming in and actually going out, where they can spend some time in this mall, do their duty-free purchases, and leave the country. So it was a whole shopping experience which these people can experience in other parts of the
world. So I appreciate your point. Like, I mean, if you come through to Colombo duty free, you have very limited choice, and people will try to sell you a washing machine, 3-4 shops, I don't know however many. You don't have that kind of choice. But the concept there and in most countries is that it is restricted to travelers, real, actual, authentic travelers, right? Because the duty free is before you clear customs, isn't it? It's before you clear customs, no? So it's always before, and then you have various customs ordinances. You can't bring more than this much, you can't bring more than that much. there is a certain limit that has been imposed, where it says Gazette number 232946 of April 23, right? It says if you stay for less than 90 days, you are a silver category, and you have to remit $2,400. If you do that, you get a allowance of if you stay for more than 1 year, allowance of $2,350, right? So there is a limit. In fact, this limit was much lower than this. In fact, it is this committee that suggested these people that there has to be an equity principle when they determine these numbers. So if you remit more than $4,800, then you can purchase up to $2,700, etc. So my point is, there are lots of conditions for Sri Lankan citizens coming back from overseas on the amount that they can purchase. So the obvious question to you, Mr. Vikramasuriya, is, are there any limitations like that imposed on Sri Lankans coming back? How do you monitor that? And are there any limitations imposed on any other shopper?
There is, sir. Again, we move to the document I shared with you, the Gazette, issued in May.
Yeah.
Schedule 2 of that actually has a table speaking to the permitted allowances,
yes,
right? So for Sri Lankans arriving, right, there is an annual limit of $5,000.
Yeah.
So notwithstanding the number of times they travel, there is an annual limit of $5,000. Whereas for tourists, there is no limit, and as you rightly pointed out, those goods purchased when they are going would only be delivered after they clear immigration.
That is for those people without a limit.
For tourists,
For
non-Sri Lankans.
Yeah. So then,
Sri Lankan,
so any Sri Lankan coming from overseas, or any Sri Lankan?
Any Sri Lankan who's traveled overseas and coming back.
Is there a limit of the travel duration?
No, sir. Not in this case.
Okay. Now,
but it's a one-off limit, and that limit is regardless of the number of times you travel
okay,
within a year. So even if you go out a dozen times a year.
So that's, let's say, 365 days.
Correct.
That is the limit, no? In this?
For $5,000.
See, tax department. Now, you just got this approved that if a person of Sri Lankan or Sri Lankan citizen comes from overseas, I just read it, Sri Lankan comes from overseas, and per year, that $5,000 limit, this is actually, let's say, $6,500 after the additional allowance. Let's say, yes, the highest is 6,500. Let's say the other one is 4,100. You have to remit $24,000 to get this 6,500 limit. To get a 4,100 limit, you have to remit $12,000 US. Now that same person, instead of buying at the duty-free shop in the airport, can come outside and go to this duty-free mall and then purchase up to 5,000. No? So because if a person, and there is no requirement for any remittances. So a lady, let's say, coming from the Middle East has a limit of $2,350, and if she had stayed for a year, she should have remitted $2,400 to get that $2,350. Here there is no remittance requirements. I'm not arguing either way, I just want clarity in this so that we all know that is the case. Why would anybody buy anything at at the duty-free airport, duty-free at the airport. They will all come. Why shouldn't they not all come here? Okay, Mr. Vikramasuriya, it's not your matter. It is a matter for the Ministry of Finance.
Only luxury things are to be sold in those duty-free shops.
Now
Luxury
tell me,
item, branded items. Yes.
Is a tag a luxury or not?
Branded items, sir.
Every watch is branded. I'm asking you, who is to determine what is luxury, what is not? For a low-income person, a citizen is a luxury. For a high-income person, a tag is not a luxury. So who is to determine what is luxury? Luxury depends. It's a subjective thing, right? Are you drinking single malt? Or are you drinking red label? I mean, for a person who is drinking arak, red label is luxury. A person who is drinking Glenfiddich, black label is not luxury. So who is determining that? Who's got the authority to determine what is luxury, what is not? And also, Mr. Vikramasuriya, now in the list of items that you have, it does not say no anywhere. It says apparel.
Chairman, I hear your point, right? And again, I will come back on to the vision of this, right? It is not to create an environment, and I'm stating here this in committee as well, it is not the vision to create an environment where people are selling or dealing in fridges, washing machines, etc., right? And that's the sort of the concept. If you go through the Dubai duty free, so if, and I hear your point, when you look at this list of goods, right? This list of goods was taken in consultation with the customs when we gave them our idea. But I hear you, right? If you do look at these goods, yes, somebody, as you rightly pointed out, washing the laundry goods, they might come in and say sell a washing machine, right? And I can assure you that
it won't be sold.
That is no, that's not the intention, right? Now what we can
Mr.
do,
Vikramasuriya, please let me interject. What your intention and a shrewd, I'm using
Yes.
the word shrewd business person, right? We will, interpret it in different
Absolutely.
ways. I mean, you can have something in your mind, Mr. Vikramasuriya, but that doesn't mean that gets that is the law, and legally one cannot do.
So what if I may be permitted to comment, and I hear your comments on this, I think something, and I've got a commission member here, something we can do is go back and revisit this list, Annexure B, Annexure 2, and actually further tighten that and ensure it is being designed and crafted to ensure the objectives of the commission is being met.
I hear you, but I don't think that is possible, because I'll tell you why. It is not possible because there is no particular bureaucrat who can determine if a tag watch is luxury or not. There is no bureaucrat who can determine whether a black label is luxury or not. There is no bureaucrat who can determine whether a belt that you buy from DSW or someplace is luxury or not. How do you do that? I'm just asking because I do not know how to do that.
I wouldn't use the adjective luxury. And I hear you correctly, right? What's luxury to one person is not luxury to another, and I hear you totally on that. But what we would like to again reiterate is, and when we talk to the parties that are looking at coming in here, like the China duty free is the Flamingos, ODFs, etc., and China duty free for one, right? They are world's number one. They're not coming in here to sell fridges and washing machines. They are coming in here to sell perfumes.
That may be.
So
but your list has
clear.
It has fridges. Sorry, I don't know that.
It has the ability to bring in fridges, right? And I hear you there, and that's why again my previous comment to see how we can further, we will engage further with customs and look at actually see how to address these concerns.
Okay, I want to move on. But so this discussion is for the consumption of the tax advisor to the government. Are we creating distortions in the market? If so, how do we avoid it? If market distortions are not being created, then I have no problem, right? We spent one whole hour just discussing market distortions. I mean, I can always come here and say, okay, it's late, we are hungry, it's 2 o'clock, let's just approve all these things. But I don't think I will do my job the way I'm expected to if I don't ask these tough questions. Mr. Vikramasuriya, please don't be misguided that I am against Port City or that I'm trying to shoot you down. I am asking questions that as the Committee of Public Finance need to ask.
So I've never ever thought that way, because all our regulations that have come in here have been duly discussed and addressed, and I appreciate the committee's guidance and support given in that regard.
I want. And then that is inland revenue. That is, you don't pay tax on all these profits. Then value added tax we don't pay. Finance Act number 11 2002, what is that? Finance Act number 5 2005. What is that? Excise tax, custom ordinance, PAL, Export Development Act, betting and gaming levy. Why do you want to exempt betting and gaming levy for these guys?
So if I may permit to come in there, sir, those are the 13 enactments is what exemptions or incentives can be given against, right?
Yeah, but then, sorry, go ahead.
And they are not, so if you're not a casino operator, you're not exempted from the Betting and Gaming Levy Act. So there would be a separate document that's actually gazetted, subject to cabinet approval, which actually lists the incentives. So the primary incentives they are looking at, right, is, as you rightly pointed out, the corporate tax or the Inland Revenue Act, right? VAT at the moment for, as you rightly said, duty-free sales done out of the BIA airport, to the best of our understanding, is exempted. They don't, my understanding, but if that is not the case, that would not, that it will be a level playing field. So if the people who sell in the Dubai, the BIA duty free are paying VAT, that would apply here. So there's going to be no exemption there. It'll stand as a level playing field. In terms of addressing the revenue to the government, right? The authorized person agreement that would be executed subject to these regulations being passed would result in a 7% minimum, or starting at 7% and then going up possibly to 15% over a 5-year period or the longer. 7% of the revenue generated by the mall operator, the person who does the sales, would be coming in as income to the commission, and i.e. the government. And
the income to the commission is not in revenue to the treasury?
It goes into the consolidated fund.
No, you have expenses.
You're correct.
You have, who pays the salaries, who pays for everything else, right? So it doesn't come, the tax is going directly to the consolidated fund, but this, only what will be left over will go to the consolidated fund. No, I mean, you see what happens in a lot of countries. I was in the US recently. We went to a restaurant, but the restaurant had these, what do you call these, jackpots and things like that, right? You go to a gas station. We were driving in the southern, from Houston to New Orleans, and all the gas stations has a slot machine, right? So what I'm saying is, do we have to exempt all these laws to all the authorized persons? Or is it necessary, AG's department, is it necessary that we restrict the types of waivers depending on the type of business the person is engaging in? You all are tired, no? I'm also tired.
I'm not sure if there's somebody from the AG's department here, but if I can clarify that point, and you're absolutely correct, what we do is, once this is...
What happened to the person from the AG's department? Where's the person from the AG's department? Aegis department should have stayed here. This is huh? Why did they go? They were asked to stay. Who asked them to go?
May I continue, sir?
Just one moment. Ask if they are around. Yes, go ahead, please.
So once the BSI framework is approved, or should it be approved by Parliament or this committee and then Parliament, the individual business operator, right, we would be publishing a gazette, an order by gazette under Section 53 of the Act, right, or as per requirement of Section 53 of the Act, we would be publishing the list of enactments where they would be receiving exemptions or incentives against. And again, and that will be gazetted accordingly. And for duty-free operators or businesses that you're doing banking business or whatever business, there won't be any exemptions granted under the casino business regulations and or the Betting and Gaming Levy Act, right? You're looking at primarily the tax acts, the finance acts, and in this case, excise, customs ordinance, the PAL, which comes under Port and Airport Development Levy, the Sri Lanka Export Development Act, TEVA or Termination of Employment of Workmen, and the Foreign Exchange Act, right? So I think those, and that would be gazetted, clearly marking out the exemptions or incentives given and the time period it runs for.
There is a commission member here, right? Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Niranjan Arul Prakasan.
Mr. Arul Prakasam, you see, this is a matter of serious concern. You see, whether it should be en bloc, right? I mean, what is the distortion that is going to develop? There's certainly going to be a distortion developing. I mean, arbitrage is going to happen. I mean, that is how businesses operate. If you don't pay tax in one place, you pay tax in the other place, arbitrage will happen, right? I hear Mr. Vikramasuriya trying to defend the idea. I don't disagree with him, right? I'm not disagreeing with him. What I'm saying is, how do you ring fence the ability for arbitrage, tax arbitrage, right? If you put it in another way, what is the tax expense? Now from this day onwards, this cannot just be approved here. The tax expense has to be calculated. It is an IMF condition. So every regulation will have to have a tax expenditure, right? Cost to the treasury. So now, for instance, Mr. Vikramasuriya, if you are expecting 10 fridges, 7 fridges, 6 TVs, 5 washing machines, 4 irons, 3 watches, 2, because it's Christmas time, come on, cheer up, will you? Why is everybody not getting my joke? Right? And you have to calculate the cost. You can't just get it done now like this. It's the law, or it's a condition. Correct me if I'm wrong, tax advisor. You can't. You have to speak to the mic. Is that the law? I mean, is that the new structure?
Yeah, we have to prepare the tax expenditure statement, and this is coming under the law. No, that.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, we earlier what happened was we said okay, because we see the logic, whether we like it or not, we will say okay. Now when we say okay, there has to be a calculation behind it. It may not be accurate to the dot, but based on the expected revenue, based on the expected sales, number of watches, number of whatever it is that you have in mind, what is the tax expenditure? What is the tax expenditure to the state? And that has to be published. It has to go on a website.
So if I could just add a little bit of context to what you said, sir, because you keep mentioning the irons and fridges. I get where you're coming from. Given what the country is going through, the fact that the tax has to be computed, I completely agree. That's for the tax department. But from the Commission's point of view, sir, we are mandated to bring in investors. And what we were trying to do with this mall is to extend the experience or whatever that you get at the airport over here. So it's strictly tied in with immigration and the allowance and so on. And if you look at the gazette that's before you today, there are only two types of people who can get this BSI. One is a mall operator, and there can be only one. So for this entire building, there's going to be one mall operator. Under that, there is something called a mall retail operator. So we deal with Flamingo or World Duty Free or China Duty Free. The Commission directly deals with them. They will bring the Louis Vuittons and whatever brands. We don't get into that. The mall operator is responsible for the confectionery, whatever it is that is there. So from the Commission's perspective, with our mandate to bring in investors and foreign currency and so on, we were trying to extend that experience in this manner, sir. That was the objective. But I defer to you on this, on the tax implications and everything else.
I think you are doing a good job. I'm not saying so. This is your job. You have to fight with us and fight with the treasury to get what you want. I mean, what's the point in just saying okay? I mean, because there is not only one matter. No, there are a bunch of stakeholders, right? There is a government treasury also. So I am not going to argue with you that you don't have the right to what you are trying to do. That's not my point.
Yeah,
my point
understood.
is we have to actually come up with a number. What is the lost or rather the tax expenditure? It has to be published in a website. It has to happen. So therefore, we need to calculate it. If I'm mistaken, if I'm wrong, please correct me, because I don't want to be on record saying something that they don't have to do or we don't have to do. Is it necessary, Mrs. Pereira? Is it necessary?
Yeah, we have to publish.
We have to publish. So you have to make an assessment. I know it is difficult because you don't really know what kind of, companies will come, what kind of luxury items will be sold, how many will, be taken, by foreigners as opposed to locals. But those can be, I guess, tweaked as we go on. But there is a new condition that it has to be calculated. So that's my main point, right? How do we proceed, Danuja, Mrs. Pereira? How do we proceed?
So once the commercial operation started, then based on their accounts, this could be calculated. If we to calculate the foregone VAT revenue, then we can calculate it upon their turnover and apply the VAT rate.
But it is not exposed, no. It is ex ante, isn't it? So we have to give some indication as to what the tax expenditure of this decision is. I mean, this is a retail operation, no? And I am sure you agree with me that arbitrage can happen, right? I mean, if I have to pay tax to buy an iPhone, if I have to buy an iPhone at say Shang Mall or something like that, I have to pay VAT, and phones will be charged VAT from January, 18% VAT. So how much is an iPhone? I think it's, let's say, $1,000. I don't know whether you can buy one for $1,000. Let's suppose $1,000. So 18% VAT plus SCL. Let's say SCL 2.5% is VAT about let's say 22%. Let's say 22%. So that is $220.
Custom rate is a 20%, VAT 18, and 2% social security. That is average is a 40%. So
40%.
40% the
tax.
Tax is average. That's the limit is a 500,000. No, 5,000. 5,000 US dollars. So 40% is about 2,000 tax expenditure. Total total in annual annual expenditure limit is 5,000.
Yes.
5,000. The average tax rate is 40%.
Yeah.
The tax expenditure is not a foreigner. The local one is $2,000.
$2,000
per annum.
Per annum. So every
Per person.
Per person. So every person who goes in here will cost the government of Sri Lanka $2,000 per year. So that is let's say 100 people go, that is how much? 20,000. 1,000 people go, 2 million. So if 1,000 people visit, one moment please, if 1,000 people visit this mall, that will mean $2 million, $2 million a day of tax expenditure. I am not just, what I am saying is, this is just a rough back of the envelope calculation the Deputy Secretary Treasury is making. I am not saying he is right, but what I am saying is, there has to be, he may be right, just by looking at the big numbers. So we have to calculate that, and we have to calculate that, and based on that, I guess, you'll have to see whether, like you also correctly pointed out, Mr. Vikramasuriya, that not every person need to be given every exemption, right? So if you are a retail, you don't need casino exemption, right? If you are casino, you don't need retail exemption. So I think those will have to be calculated. But there is a bigger problem than that. We have just found out this hasn't been, this gazette hasn't been submitted. The list. Now we talked about a list, no? I did not know what the list was. Why didn't I know what the list was? It is not in my file. Then I asked the officials here to check, when you submitted this list to Parliament, for which you are asking exemptions. Now I find that list hasn't been submitted. The list that you can you reconfirm that this hasn't been submitted to Parliament? Whip office. So the Whip office, that is the government office that is responsible for government business, says this gazette hasn't been submitted to Parliament. And this gazette has this list of watches and TVs and fridges and washing machines and all of that. Mr. Secretary to the Ministry, Mr. Secretary to the Ministry, this is your responsibility.
71. So, sir, if I may just interject for a moment.
No. Mr. Secretary to the Ministry, this is your responsibility. Yes. Can you tell me when this was submitted to Parliament?
Honorable Chair.
So the rule, the regulator.
No, it says the Gazette of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, extraordinary Gazette. It's not a rule. Who said this is a rule? If it is a rule, why does it say extraordinary gazette?
No, sir.
So the power to make regulations under the Act is under Section 71, sir.
That is correct.
And that has to be submitted to Parliament for its approval within 3 months upon the minister.
So what is the date? What is the date on this gazette? May.
This one is under 72, sir.
Under 72, what is it?
It's to make rules.
Okay.
It's to make rules, sir. But that is not. It doesn't follow the same procedure as in 71.
Okay.
Where if it's not approved by
so
Parliament,
you don't
it's
need parliamentary approval for this.
No, you don't.
This is crazy. I mean, you need approval from Parliament to sell the things that we don't have. We don't know what they are. So how can that be? You are asking for approval today, Mr. Commission Member, Mr. Arupakasam.
Yes, sir.
You are asking for approval from Parliament to exempt those people who are selling a bunch of items, exemption from tax and VAT and PAL and Foreign Exchange Act and everything, no? That's what you're doing?
That's correct, sir.
That's
correct. With the gazette.
That is correct. That is correct.
That is the duty-free gazette. The permitted items come under these rules, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, So now then you can put whatever you want in this list, because what you are saying is there is no need of any parliamentary oversight in this.
Sir. Those items, if I'm not mistaken, it was brought up with the commission. We took it directly from customs. These permitted items and stuff, it's in something in the customs ordinance. So it's a replication of that we published as rules just to govern the area in the port city, sir.
Right. Now it says regulations made by the Minister of Investment Promotion in consultation with the Port City under Section 71 of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act.
Yes, sir. That needs to be brought before Parliament within 3 months.
Under this, right?
Yes.
Now this one, you have listed out a bunch of things, right? TVs, fridges, watches, cigarettes, scotch, etc. under Section 72, right?
Yes,
but you are seeking approval under Section 71 for a list under Section 72.
That is correct, sir.
Yes.
But the list under Section 72 it's a replication of something that customs has. That's
Look,
what was.
that is immaterial, no? Whether customs has it or somebody else has it is immaterial to us. What I'm saying is, it sounds very odd.
No, sir.
Why don't you?
No, sir. Can I put it this way, sir? If you just give me a minute, sir.
Sure, please.
So now, when we say the customs ordinance is suspended, for example, their enforcement mechanism, people still need to declare, go through, all that part is there. The commission does not deal with any of that. It is only the tax. So similarly, sir, the reason this has come by way of rules is that there is a law or regulation under customs which mirrors what's in the rules, sir. Now suppose I add an extra item like a Ferrari car or something to these rules, customs will stop it. This rule does not enable it to go through. This rule is just for information for people who want to do business within the area of the port. It's more informative.
So I'm reading from the Act.
Yes.
All rules made under this Act shall be published in the Gazette within 3 months of the formulation.
Yes.
Now, when you say rules,
yes,
right? Can you interpret rule as a list of things that can be subjected to or not subjected to the normal laws of this country?
Certainly not, sir.
But that is what's happening now.
No, sir. We have mirrored it. Like I said, sir, if there is an item,
mirroring is not.
If there is an item that's not in the customs permitted use, they won't be able to import it because they have to clear.
No, that is customs. If there is a list in the customs, you have to pay duty, no?
Correct.
Right. What you are saying is, you are giving us a list that you say mirrors a list in the customs, which I accept, there is no problem there.
Yes.
But what you are saying is, to sell these 25 types of items, goods,
yes,
to please give us the approval not to charge tax on these things. That's what you're saying, no?
That is what we're saying.
Correct.
But the rule doesn't have the force of law.
Is that a rule?
Yes.
Can the Port City Commission rule? I'm asking the Secretary of the Treasury. Can the Port City Commission rule what items cannot or can be taxed?
No.
Or should it not be approved, this list?
Sir, can I put it this way, sir?
Please.
Assume these rules don't exist, sir.
Correct.
They are permitted. It's in this customs regulation by law, and it is only those items that can be in the duty free. It's the rules of no consequence. It's more informative.
Well, I disagree with you, Mr. Commission Member. I don't think it is not.
No, in the sense, it's informative for people doing business in the area of the port cities.
Yeah, but then I can say you can have a rule. You have to wear shoes if you enter a premises. Or you can put a rule, you cannot smoke within 20 meters of this premises. You can have a rule, look, you have to drive on the left hand of the street. But can you have a rule that overrules the existing
Certainly not. Certainly
taxation.
not. Certainly not.
So I'm going to stall here. I'm going to adjourn this discussion for a moment, because I need you to give me the interpretation of the word rule. Because I'm looking at, this is where the additional DSC should have been here. How come people just get up and leave from these meetings? But we postponed this meeting because we had to take the other meeting. I'm also hungry, right? I'm also tired. All these people are tired too.
Some other officer will come.
So where is the officer? How can we run a country like this? I also have been working, I've been, in the chamber, and then I've come here for the last 3 hours, I'm doing this. Mr. Aruprakasam,
yes.
Are you legal professional?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. So, I would think if you are going to use a word like rule and assume that you have the authority to determine what rules that you impose, I think there has to be a clear definition of what a rule is. So I looked at the definition section in the Act, Mr. Aruprakasam.
It doesn't appear to
it
be.
Doesn't give.
It
no?
doesn't appear to be defined.
Yeah, but it gives community rules.
Yes.
Now, there's only rule in this is community rule. This is what it says. Community rule means rules specifying guidelines and instructions as formulated from time to time by the Commission, which are to be complied by the owners and occupiers of condominium parcels and premises situated within an area of authority of the Colombo Port City, with a view to ensuring the maintenance of harmony and the promotion of cohesive living environments.
Yes.
Now, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Secretary, in gazette that you didn't submit to Parliament, because you say you don't have to submit to Parliament under 2333/14, which Mr. Aruprakasam is right, under section 72, right? In section 72, all rules made under this act, so he is right. I'm not finding fault with the Port City Commission here. He is just going by this. But this doesn't say, define what a rule is. If you can define what a community rule is, how come what a rule is not defined? But there is no other rule in the definition. The legal person of the Port City is here, right? You're the head of legal. Now, you were involved in the 72, section 72, no? On the Gazette of May 22nd?
Yes.
33/14?
Correct, sir.
Now, you use section 72.
Correct, sir.
Right. To use section 72 instead of section 71. Because if it was section 71, you have to have approval from Parliament. If it is section 72, you don't. Tell me why you decided to use section 72 as opposed to section 71?
Honorable Chair, these rules are actually what we have used here is what is available in the customs really. We've actually reduced what is available in the customs ordinance. This is not something
Okay,
new.
what is available in the customs ordinance?
The entire list of goods are available. There's a
What? Available for what?
for importation.
We all know that. There are 8,000 HS codes of things that you can import. You have only 25. You have 25 multiplied by about 125, because when you say apparels, there are lots of apparels. There are cotton apparels, there are nylon apparels, there are mixed apparels, there are 80-20 apparels, and you can buy 36 apparels, pieces of apparel, 36 in here. right? So this 36 might correspond to about 50 HS codes. So if you're looking at HS codes, you know, you have a whole bunch of HS codes, not 25, right? Now, I have another question. Is this a rule or a regulation? What is the difference between a rule and a regulation? Please.
So a regulation is subordinate legislation. It has the force of law when it is subsequently approved by Parliament.
Rule doesn't have...
Rule does not have the force of law.
So, Mr. Vikramasuriya, you can have any rule you want. Our fathers had rules when we were in school. They say if you go to Royal Tomin, don't drink. But did you follow that rule? Subsequently, they all found out and they all excused us because they said, well, these some rules are not necessarily, you know, enforced. But look here, you can have this list, but according to what just transpired, you can sell anything. You can sell anything. You can sell luxury goods, you can sell non-luxury goods, you can sell whatever you want. There is no legal constraint of this list. Because this is not a regulation, but it's a mere rule that can easily be broken with no consequence. So,
if I can comment on that, sir, as we said, it comes through the customs ordinance. So they can't import anything that's...
But you can import 8,000 items.
I hear you, and I alluded to that. Maybe this list needs to...
No, this list essentially includes 8,000 items. Except for banned items like nuclear waste and stuff like that. I don't know why they want to import nuclear waste, but except for nuclear waste, then garbage, right, which some people accuse the Singapore agreement was going to allow people to import garbage. No, you can't, because in the customs ordinance you can't import garbage. So that argument itself was garbage, but that's another matter. But you can import anything. So I think this is not going in the way that we originally wanted it to go. I want it to go the original way we want it to go. The objective is to ensure that we have a good piece of legislation. Right? So I think you need to go back to your drawing boards and figure out how there is some sort of regulation here. I mean, do you agree, Mr. Vikramasuriya, you're the main man, running this operation. Do you want your duty-free operator to bring anything he or she wishes to and sell here?
Not at all, sir. I still stand by the comment I made, the objectives of the duty-free. So I still stand by that.
I stand with you on your objective. So let's do that. Let's do that. So if you want to sell certain type of things, then let's have some way in which that you don't open the floodgates. I mean, there is a big, not that I necessarily agree. People are saying, well, you import kites from China. So you can import kites from China and sell in the bulk without paying duty.
But if I can comment here, sir, sorry, Niranjan, the people who can go in and shop here, right, is not every citizen of Sri Lanka, right? It is Sri Lankans who've actually gone overseas and come back, right? And as you rightly said, if a person has gone overseas to China and bought a kite, he can carry it through customs and clear through immigration subject to the baggage allowances. So what we are trying to create here, what we were envisaged to create here, is him, instead of shopping for that kite in China or the Louis Vuitton bag in Dubai or the Hermes bag or Johnny Walker Red Label in Singapore, to come in here and go and purchase this item in the duty-free mall in downtown duty-free mall, which also would actually result in, as we mentioned earlier, 7% income to the government. And that was the idea and the vision behind this.
Yeah. It's, let me correct you, 7% income is not to the government. 7% income is to your commission.
The commission, apologize.
Right. So I think there needs to be further discussion on this. I think we all agree that this needs to be tweaked a little bit more. Let's do this right? Let us not be accused later of creating loopholes for person X, Y, or Z. Let us get this done right.
So just one quick thing, sir. On behalf of the Commission, I just, for the purpose of the record, would like to state that by these rules, we by no means intended to circumvent the provisions of the customs ordinance or anything else. It was merely for the information of people operating within the area of the port city. But I take your point that it could be misleading. But certainly, as it does not have the force of law, somebody importing it is not going to get a benefit from these rules. It was purely informative. But as you said, it could have been done in a better manner.
Yeah, see, the thing is, from my point of view, Mr. Aruprakasham, you know, while we have, this is like a Venn diagram. Some of your interests are my interests also, right? But not all of your interests are not all of my interests, right? So therefore, I think it is best, because the issue is not about the genuine person, right? 90% of the people probably are genuine, but the 10% people who may want to, you know, go through the loopholes that we are going to knowingly provide will cause later on repercussions, that you and I will both be accused of doing things that we should not have done, right? Because this is a democracy, right? People, it's best if now that we have recognized that there can be a hole that you can drive a truck through, you know, let's close that hole, right? And I think it's in the best interest of you and us both.
I take your point, sir.
Yeah. So what we are going to do, and then we have to calculate the tax. The issue here is on the arbitrage. It is not the genuine person, because do you think every person who will go and shop for $5,000 in the duty-free shop will purchase for their individual consumption? No, I don't think so. I mean, have I ever bought 36 pieces of clothing in one go? No, I don't buy 36 shirts. I buy one shirt, or I buy two shirts, or buy 3 shirts at the most. That's all I can afford for personal consumption. But if you buy 36 shirts, that is for another purpose. That is clearly arbitrage opportunity exists. But you are letting people buy 36 shirts. Right? So let us come back. Right? Take this in the right spirit. Right? Please don't go and say that Harsha De Silva is against the port city, that Harsha De Silva tried to stop the progress of the port city. I am not. I was one of the architects of this, and I want this to succeed. Right? I want it to succeed, but I want it to succeed knowing that we have taken all the precautions for unscrupulous characters to sort of take advantage of the genuine people who are trying to do this correct. So this meeting is adjourned. This is not approved. We will have to go back. Secretary Investment Promotion, Secretary Finance, you all will have to discuss. Should it be a regulation? Right? Should it come under 71? What is the actual power that 72 gives the Port City Commission to apply these rules? What do rules mean? So there is a discussion before we can get back to this committee.
You're watching the Lifetraveler channel.